Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, December 23rd. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Cotton Bowl game against Missouri in just 6 days. The game against Michigan in 343 days. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of a step back to early signing day, Ryan Day's press conference. You've heard all about the Ohio State recruiting class and the guys they've signed. Today we're going to be hearing directly from Ryan Day about some of the other stuff we got to hear about, because there were some very interesting conversations around a few other aspects of the Ohio State program. And we're going to be structuring this a little differently than we typically do these shows. Normally, I'll kind of give you a synopsis of the question, and then you'll hear a little clip from Ryan Day, and I'll give you a synopsis of the next question. We're going to do this a little differently. I've cut all the stuff together with the actual questions from the reporters, because you can actually hear them when you're in the team room. So you're going to get to hear the exact question, because sometimes the wording, you don't want to sort of interpret stuff. You want to let you guys hear the exact question that Ryan Day is answering, because sometimes that can matter in certain situations. And we're going to start with the coaching staff. So this is going to be 3 questions from 3 different people. The middle one, his voice will probably sound a little familiar. During the press conference, all back to back, just about the process of when are these coaches going to be evaluated in terms of, are you going to make change to 2024? How are you going to be evaluating them? All that kind of stuff. So here's Ryan Day getting asked 3 different questions about the future of the Ohio State coaching staff.
Do you expect to make any changes to your coaching staff after the season?
Like I said to you before, we got this bowl game to play, and we're always going to evaluate it. And if there's any updates, then I'll give them at the right time. But we're always going to evaluate it after every season and go from there.
Ryan, you said earlier you were going to sort of evaluate the staff after the season. What are the specific factors that you are evaluating, and what's the standard that they're being evaluated against?
Yeah, we the first thing is recruiting. That's the number one thing. You got to recruit your position. It's your job. You're the head coach of your position. You got to make sure that that room is strong year in and year out. We have a certain amount of depth that we have at each position, and then it's your job to make sure that you have the best room in the country. I think that's the other thing that we talk about a lot. And when you're at Ohio State and you're coaching, the wide receivers, it should be wide receiver you. If you're coaching the linebackers, it should be linebacker you, because this is the best place in the country. And so I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is how they perform on the field. What type of production are you getting out of your unit? And a big part of that is the development. When if you're recruiting really well and then you're developing your players, then usually you're going to get production. And then the last thing is just what are you bringing schematically to the table? Are you putting your guys in a situation to be successful? And that's our job as coaches.
When you make evaluations on a coaching staff, you were asked this earlier, but just generally, like Austin was asking about the calendar and stuff, there doesn't seem to be, a really good time until after January the 1st or the 5th or whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, does that make it, uncomfortable for you in that respect of you're selling this program, et cetera, but you also want to maybe make some changes?
Yeah, you have to take into consideration the timing of everything. Yeah. And, so we'll do that. But yeah, you go through the season and you work through the season, and then, you come up for air and figure out what you need to do to fix things, and how you need to make changes if appropriate.
One of the very, very big storylines on early signing day, and probably for the foreseeable future, is going to be about the future of defensive line coach Larry Johnson. Again, there's going to be a few different questions here about Johnson and the defensive line in general, his future. Ryan Day, pretty clear here about, does he expect Larry Johnson to be back on the staff next year? So here's a few of those questions about the defensive line.
I've had a number of questions about Larry Johnson. Have you had to answer questions whether he's retiring or staying?
It's funny. Guys have brought that up over the years in recruiting, but he's young. He's, in terms of his approach every day, he's got a lot of energy, and he wants to continue to coach. And, the guys in the room love him. And so, yeah, no, he's still got a lot of energy when it comes to coaching, and he still has a passion for coaching. And, his wisdom, his experience is the best in the country. And our guys know that, and people recognize that in recruiting.
You think he's back?
Yes.
With defensive line recruiting, I guess Generally, do you feel like you guys cast a wide enough net when trying to find the right prospects? And additionally to that, this program has always done a pretty good job with offensive linemen of kind of scouring the Midwest and finding, developmental prospects. Obviously, you've done that with this class. It just doesn't seem to happen as much on the defensive line, and I'm wondering maybe why that is.
I think when you say, cast a big enough net, I think so. I mean, we recruit from coast to coast. When you look at our roster just across the board and, where our guys are from. And, I think we're looking from coast to coast. You look at, I guess, in our D-line now, you got a guy from Germany, you got a guy from Seattle, you got guys from different parts of the country. So I think we're looking for the best we can possibly get and the best fit. And so, yeah, I mean, Jack Sawyer's from right down the street. We've got guys from Ohio, and I think everyone wants to come in and develop, at a high level. But I think we've done a really good job, like you said, in the O-line of identifying those guys and having physical guys that are going to come in and work and and want to be at Ohio State and become veteran players. So I mean, two different positions, but I feel like we are casting that net, yeah, and also developing.
And when it comes to Larry, it just seems like, again, and I'm sure in the future they're going to keep weaponizing it against you, the fact that he is, I believe, 72 years old and has been doing this a long time. What is the plan, I guess, to combat that, to stop other programs from using that against you as you move forward?
Well, I think the other part of it, the flip side is that this is a guy who's developed unbelievable players, and some people can talk about how they develop and everything. Like Larry's actually done it, and so there's a body of work there, and and also he's got a lot of wisdom to him, and so when you're going into a room every day with somebody, you're counting on them to mentor your young man, and I think that's where families feel comfortable with that. When they hand their son over to Larry Johnson, they know what they're getting. They're going to get someone that's going to pour into them in all areas, and he's done that with so many different people. And so he's going to continue to work. He's got, again, a ton of energy, and he's working hard. Recruiting is just like everybody else. There's certainly different challenges these days, as you know, but he is adapting, and we're going to have a really good D-line next year.
And finally, we're going to be talking a little bit about the quarterback position. A few questions here. The first one about Kyle McCord, who was on the sidelines, in case you missed this, for Syracuse's 45-0 loss to the University of South Florida during their bowl game on Thursday night. So you're going to hear a quick question about Kyle McCord, and then about the quarterback market and the transfer portal, and then what Ryan Day has seen from Devin Brown and Lincoln Kienholz this month.
We haven't talked to you since Kyle's decision became public. Just anything that you can say as to ways that you think you could have handled that better, or how surprised were you at the way that sort of went sideways?
Yeah, I'm going to just keep the conversation private between us, but and I really don't want to get into it because I don't think it serves anybody any good. I think Kyle was very well respected here. We wish him nothing but the best. He played some good football here and spent 3 years here and made a lot of relationships here. And, I think he's, committed to another school now, and he'll do well there. He will. So, I don't think it's worth getting into all right now, but certainly wish him nothing but the best of luck. There's a lot of guys in that room that care about him a lot.
That decision then led to a lot of speculation as to how much you guys would get involved in the transfer portal with the quarterback. How did you look at that, approach that, and ultimately what, decisions have you made about that?
Yeah, I think that competition is very, very healthy. I think Lincoln's really been coming on. Excited to see Air get going here this spring. But fired up to see the way Devin's been practicing the last few weeks. It's been great for him. Now that he's healthy, his ankle's feeling better, and kind of like, okay, take this thing and run and see how the next couple of weeks go in terms of the way he handles himself. Excited that he's going to be able to play in this game, and then just go from there. But Devin was real close, going into the season, and so this is going to be an awesome opportunity for him to take it and run. And so excited to see that, and again, I think the guys have seen what he's been. The last couple practices have been very good, But also, Lincoln and Air. I mean, these guys are talented young men who want to get on the field.
I guess specifically, what are you seeing from Devin right now that you like, maybe especially relative to what you were seeing when you made the decision to come?
Well, you're seeing. You wait to get into the game to kind of see it all. But I think it's just the experience of getting more and more reps under your belt. But also, when you're with the ones and you're with the starters all the time, I think you can play maybe a little bit more freely and not worried about making a mistake. And so that's been good to see.
All right, so that was just a little bit of housekeeping, touching on a few different storylines we just haven't really gotten to talk about on this show all that much. So hope that was informative for you. Get a chance to hear directly from Ryan Day, and with all the direct questions, so there's no room for interpretation. This is what he was asked. This is what he answered. So hopefully that was informative for you. We'll be back tomorrow with another show. We're planning on bringing in Ross Fulton, our buddy, talk about a little bit about the Ohio State offense, the Ohio State defense, and the Cotton Bowl against Missouri. That'll be probably the next couple of days worth of shows is the plan. So we'll have that. And then after that, Tony and Kevin and I will be down in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl right around the corner. Should be less than a week. Can't believe it. Less than a week till that game, the Buckeyes and Mizzou facing off in Jerry World on the 29th. We will have coverage of the full lead up to that game. Lots of press conferences, lots of open practices, all that kind of good stuff. All from Dallas. You can find it all at BuckeyeHuddle.com and, of course, at YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. We'll have a lot of content there as well. So that will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.